It's time for MacBreak Weekly, episode 228. Andy and Alex are here, and we're going to talk about CES, how Apple can deflate, can take all the air out of the room with a couple of simple announcements. What will Apple say pre-CES, post-CES? Let's talk about it next on MacBreak Weekly.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for MacBreak Weekly is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is MacBreak Weekly, episode 228, recorded January 4th, 2011. Let the Eagles score. MacBreak Weekly is brought to you by GoToMeeting. Face-to-face meetings are sometimes important, but they can be a hassle and a waste of money. Do more, travel less with GoToMeeting. For your free 30-day trial, visit gotomeeting.com/MacBreak. And by Carbonite. Backing up the files on your PC or Mac is safe and easy with Carbonite. For a free trial plus 2 free months with purchase, go to Carbonite.com. Offer code MacBreak. And by Audible.com. For your free download, visit audible.com/MacBreak. It's time for MacBreak Weekly, the show that covers your Macintosh needs. I think I just did.
This is not the show you're looking for.
Not the show you're looking for. I think I just did the droid, the Alec Guinness. He said, "This is not the podcast you were looking for." There he is, Andy Ihnatko, all the way from Boston, where you survived Snowpocalypse.
Snowpocalypse Blizzardo 2010/2011. Yes, we are.
But you still have the reflective coat
stock here in our.
He has the Mylar still hanging in the in the porch there to protect.
The giant day ball is being rather severe. So,
thank you for being here, Andy Ihnatko. Despite the weather, Andy is at the Chicago Sun-Times. It's rare that one could say the weather is better in Chicago. He's also
exactly good for the water slide. It's up in the East Loop, you know.
Also, the editor-in-chief of his own website, which seems fair, the celestial waste of bandwidth, www.cwob.com. Also with us, my friends, the fabulous Alex Lindsay from the Pixel Core, pixelcore.com for that Guild of Multimedia Artists, pixelcore.tv for the podcast, and we also are plugging his blog today, Border Sack with SAC.
This is putting pressure on me to actually write for it. So bordersack.com, you'll see old stuff there that hasn't been updated for a while, and I'm committed this year of writing for the blog at least once a week, and it'll start this week with CES. I'm going to put videos up.
That's what I'm most interested in. So you're going to use your iPhone?
So I have this thing. I put a little headset in, and then I walk around shows, and this is how I take notes for when we're going to do stuff for Gear Media Tech or MacBreak, and I just literally shoot these videos, and I talk about what the object is, and that's notes for my producers, notes for me. And I was showing someone at Pixel Core, and they were like, you really should just post those. And so I'm going to. I'm going to try it at CES. But I don't want to mess up. I don't want to do them necessarily at pixelcore.com. So I'm going to just put them on my own blog. So you can check it out.
You know, I have, and I might use that. When the Owly came, that little microphone that you plug in to the iPhone, and it's a little bit better, a little more directional.
So I have I'm using a headset because I'm just
you don't
trying
want
to capture.
And you just keep it in your front pocket. Or,
yeah, I'm using like a little Countryman.
How do you get that into the iPhone?
So I have an interface for it for my iPhone that I can get XLR in.
What do you have, a Beach Tech?
No, it's actually a there's a company. I can't think of the name of it. They make I think it's called Sense 6, but I'll check it out. But they make a sound analyzation software for the iPhone, and what they do is it's got a 1/4-inch jack, balance jack in, and it's so that you can sample sound. But it turns out it gives you a perfectly clean.
Sure, it should. It should be very good.
Cable, and so it's a little complicated because you have to run. The Countryman isn't powered, so I run that into a little powered box, and then that runs out of there, and then I run it into either wireless, or I can run it into the thing. Anyway, that's probably more information than you needed, but
that's just crazy. So, and you shoot the video on the iPhone, though.
But I shoot the video on the iPhone, all handheld, and I ordered an Owly, and it hasn't shown up, and I'm probably not going to have it for the show.
I have the Owly for the 3. You want to borrow my Owly?
Oh, but I need it for
You have a 4? Do they make an Owly for the 4?
Yeah, that's the one I ordered.
See, I have the 3GS Owly.
I could use it with the 3.
I bet it will fit. They're pretty close if you got a case that...
anything fits into anything else with enough velocity.
Case, yeah. velocity. If you use a mallet, no problem, dude.
It's just a lot of.
We should mention the Owly as long as we're giving them a plug. This is OWLE and the new Bubo.
Now, have you seen the Owly with the lens adapter? That's what
I have the lens adapter.
No. The big lens adapter.
Well, what's the big lens?
There's a company that makes. I can't figure out. It was on. If you do a search for Owly and then 35 mm lens adapter, you can actually get this adapter that will attach to the Owly, and then you can put your 35 millimeter lens on and get the short depth of field. It gives you the 35 millimeter.
Oh, wow!
And it looks great. And I was almost going to get it for CES, and I was like, I'm going to spend so much time dealing with this. I'm not going to actually shoot any videos.
You do when you go to CES. You see people, and this is actually when I first saw the Owly was last year at CES. People walking around with tripods and fancy gear and lenses, and they have like a flip cam attached or an iPhone attached. It's like, well, dude. Yeah.
But there's an example on YouTube.
You think that's sufficient?
The Owly?
Yeah, I mean an iPhone. No, the iPhone.
Oh well, for the coverage that I'm doing, but I don't. No, we're gonna shoot ours on a 5D.
Yeah, that's what.
Well, the selling point is that you finish the video, you tap a button, and it's up and posted.
Right.
You don't have to dump it to a laptop and do any sort of editing.
When you got Wi-Fi connection,
if you can get.
Because if it's too long, it won't go up over 3G because AT&T sucks.
Yeah, but for a lot of people are so efficient at doing those 43-second clips that aren't just, "Hi, this is Todd, Super Tech Dude, blog, video, YouTube." It's more like, "Hello, this is Chet Astley reporting live from the CES floor. I've got an exclusive advanced look at the new Motorola tablet. Is this an iPad killer? Well,
what is the max time? What is the max time on the upload?
I don't remember. I think it's something less than a minute and a half.
Oh, that's easy.
By the way, it's called the.
Mine are all like 50 seconds long.
The N Cinema.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Look
at this. Look at this.
Cinema, and I'll show you a little. You want to see a little video? 720p example of what you can get with the N Cinema. This is iPhone 4 HD video shot using an SLR lens featuring the Owly Bubo, great name, and the N Cinema. Oh, look at that. They're rack and focus.
Because you can.
Because you can. Why not?
It's like that guy at your fraternity who would put the moves on anything. There are people like, there must be a way I could get better optics on this. I don't care if it's a 320 by 240 Casio.
Now, here's the thing you'll notice is, see on the outside edges, see how there's like this weird grain that's there? That's because it doesn't have a spinning, like the Red Rocks and the lettuce and everything else have spinning wheels.
Is it that CMOS problem?
No, it's not a CMOS problem. It's the function that you're basically projecting onto a piece of glass.
Oh, I get it.
If the glass isn't moving, you'll end up with a kind of a static. And if that doesn't bother you, which doesn't bother me, if it doesn't bother you, like I wouldn't use it for commercial work.
Is it a defect in the glass that we're seeing?
No, it's the function. So what a lot of these lens adapters do is they spin glass or they vibrate it so that you don't end up with a constant
fixed artifact.
Grain, a fixed artifact. You end up with grain that looks like film, and so what you end up with sometimes is you see that grain, and that's the fixed artifact. But this one doesn't do that. It makes it a lot less expensive, and much smaller than the other option.
It is kind of amazing that they're shooting this on an iPhone 4. Right. I mean,
look at that.
It's ridiculous to attach a $1,000 Canon EF 50mm 1.8. Actually, that's not a $1,000 lens. That's not a very expensive lens.
Oh, and the anyway, I'm afraid.
But you could put a very expensive lens on it.
But you can also put it on things. There's this company that's called, I want to say Rincon. Is it Rincon? That has, they make manual-only lenses, 85mm manual lens, a 1.4 for like $300. Oh. And you could throw something like that
as long as you don't put the electronics into it, it's not so hard. Let me go back a little bit.
And since you're not going to use the electronics because you don't have an autofocus, then it works. But
because look at that. Look at the fancy tripod.
What the Owly gives you, though, is that it gives you mounts. So you've got quarter-inch mounts everywhere. So it's easier to mount your iPhone as well. And then you got it all set up for the lens. And it's totally silly, and that's why we like it.
Let's talk about CES. You mentioned the V word. Let's talk about that to begin with. The rumor, it's interesting. Verizon is giving a keynote at CES Thursday morning, 8:30 a.m. And some people are saying that Verizon will announce the Verizon iPhone. I'm going to go. I would not normally go to that keynote. I'm going to go. I'm going to have a camera stationed outside in case. And we will break in. We'll do breaking news Thursday morning. Because if Verizon announces an iPhone, then it's huge. That's the biggest story at CES.
Doesn't it seem very unlikely, though? Apple does not generally, unless Apple's going to make absolutely no changes to the iPhone, and they just want to let Verizon have their thing, That would be the only reason, like Apple wants to stay in the background and just say, okay, it's available now. That might be the only reason that they would do it.
It's not a typical way to announce something.
No, not for Apple.
But that's exactly why they would do it that way.
Yeah,
because they're certainly not going to create a brand new iPhone just for Verizon. It's the exact same iPhone 4. If you have the iPhone 4 for AT&T, you know exactly what it's about. Where let Verizon handle all the comments, all the questions about. So you're telling consumers that they will definitely get a better experience on your network than on AT&T. So I don't. There's definitely going. I would, if that happens, I'm guessing there's going to be a good Apple presence there. But I don't think. I don't know one way or another whether that's going to be the date of the announcement. But
it would be.
I could definitely see Apple saying, you know what, they get to do this on their own. They don't have. We don't have to have a special event for it.
This is actually interesting. Then you don't think that the Verizon iPhone will be an iPhone 5? It'll be a CDMA iPhone 4.
I think that if they were to do it, they're either going to wait for the iPhone 5 and say, oh, and by the way, now it's designed from the ground up to be dual band. We don't care about what carrier goes on, or it's just going to simply be. And of course, we've listened to consumers. The demand is so high that we can't really limit it to one carrier anymore, and so therefore we have allowed Verizon to have their own CDMA version. It's the exact same thing, except for a different radio built into it. So I could believe it's going to be announced this week. I can believe that it's going to be announced at some multiple announcement Apple special event in San Francisco in February, or I could believe they're just going to wait until the iPhone 5 and simply say, oh, and by the way, intrinsically this always has multiple radios in it so that it will work on any carrier.
It's kind of fun to watch Bloomberg and others jump up and down. Bloomberg's been saying for a week, there'll be an announcement, and nothing happened. Nothing. Yeah. Apple said nothing. Will Apple try to deflate CES by...
Not that they've ever done that before.
Well, they didn't have to. Last year, all they had to do was let the rumors fly that there was going to be an iPad announcement in January. They didn't confirm it. They didn't even send out an invite, but that's all everybody talked about at CES, and that's all anybody showed was that in fact, they even called them slates at the time because the rumor was it was going to be the iSlate. They didn't have to. Now, in previous years, they have.
Yeah, they announced the iPhone in the middle of CES not being there. Right.
We thought if the Apple was going to do an announcement, they'd do it today or tomorrow before CES begins, but no invites have gone out.
So. But it would be a huge shadow if on Thursday they announce the Verizon one. That's got to scare that for all the smartphone, because the problem is that there's so many people. If they thought they were going to catch up to the iPhone, I mean, they are starting to, I think, saturate the people willing to use AT&T market.
Yeah.
I think that. And now, but here's
they've clearly. Well, I shouldn't say that because. Numbers are starting to come out, at least guesses are starting to come out about the holiday quarter. One analyst sent shoppers into 50 different Apple stores and came back to report that very strong iPhone sales, very strong.
My dad bought one.
Yeah, iPad sales, very strong Mac sales even.
Yeah.
So I can't remember the name of the analyst. I'll find it. They and it's a big company. It was Goldman Sachs or somebody. We're predicting very big quarter for Apple. And yes, the iPhone is still the best-selling smartphone, even according to Net Nielsen.
Now, I have to say, I probably would not jump if they had the Verizon.
You would not. Andy, would you jump?
Probably not, because I've been with AT&T I've been with AT&T so long that I signed up with AT&T the first time they were AT&T. For that, I've never had any really problems with them. I would have to have a really good reason to jump, like if they offered me a really sweet package deal between the MiFi and the iPhone. Then if you could reduce my bill by at least $15 a month, then I'd really think about it.
Unlimited data on an iPad, and I'd jump in a heartbeat for that because I didn't get it. Well, I was late.
Yeah. That's a good rounder because as it is, I have unlimited data on my iPhone and my iPad, and good golly, Miss Molly, what you got to do to break me out of that? You need the National Guard to get me out of that deal.
So you mean if I have an AT&T iPhone that I've had since the first iPhone came out, and I have the data deal, I'm getting unlimited data? I'm grandfathered into unlimited.
You should
data?
be, unless you changed. There's a couple ways you could have changed your contract that would have caused it, but if you just kept on upgrading, you should be able to. You should have unlimited data.
And if I were to buy an iPhone with a brand new account today, I would not get that?
I don't think that they are now unlimited.
Exactly.
What do you get?
It's like 5 gigs.
The summer. No, I think you're
2 gigs.
Yeah, I think you got right, exactly. They dropped the price of the monthly plan, but now you're capped at 2, and there's an extra surcharge for every X units above that.
And it's actually cheaper for people, I have a MiFi and an iPad. It's actually cheaper to go to if you're going to upload or download 10 gigabytes. It's cheaper to do it on your iPad than on your MiFi because you're paying $10 a gig or $50 a gig.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
that's valuable to know.
Yeah. So if you go over it, it's actually not that bad to go over it on the unlimited plan on the iPad. I mean, it's $10 a gig, but on the Verizon, and I've done it, it's $50 a gig, and if you upload 12 gigs to your something by accident, it will cost you $600.
So here's the question: you guys may actually be doing the right thing. My kids said this because both kids have iPhone 4s on AT&T, and I was saying, well, maybe we should wait till Verizon, but I said. But then maybe everybody will move to Verizon. And Henry said, which is why I'm staying with AT&T, because the bandwidth. Do you think that'll happen?
Well, the reason that I'm not going to switch is because I think that I do think that I talked to someone that works in the engineering field, not specifically with AT&T, and he said that the numbers he saw was that an iPhone user is worth 8 smartphone users, and he said something crazy like 30 regular phone users. And he said that AT&T has been doing everything they can to build up capacity. The biggest problem with San Francisco and New York is actually the permits to put up transmitters, and it takes years to do that. And so the thing is that I think AT&T has done a lot, and it has been under this incredible weight of the iPhone users, and it's built up these huge muscles. I may not look like it on the outside, but I think...
But if you just lift a little bit of the weight off...
Well, not only that, I don't think you'll lift that much off, but I think that if Verizon gets 10 million new iPhone users, they're going to
look as bad.
They're going to look as bad or worse than... They're going to look like AT&T when it began, which is that their network will be saturated. The CDMA phone will not be able to... I think the function of CDMA, you won't be able to talk on the phone and surf the web. Not until you get 4G, I think.
Now, we've heard rumors that Verizon was going to figure out a way around that, even pre-LTE.
Possibly.
They had some sort of trick up their sleeve with CDMA.
We haven't seen that yet.
I haven't seen it.
Just rumors.
So, well, I'll be at the Verizon event. We can't stream the keynotes live, but I'll be there, and I will run out the door.
Why can't we?
I don't know. Actually, I didn't ask. I just assumed.
Also,
I could just bring.
You've done it before. It's not like you've ever followed that before.
With me, and
you could Skype it. No, you could Skype from your iPhone.
Okay,
Skype,
FaceTime,
FaceTime.
No,
Skype.
Man in the 10th row wearing that enormous cowboy hat with the hole cut in the middle of it.
Why has he got an owlie on his head?
And holding the big LED light at our CEO.
I thought when I saw the Skype that now works on the
we're going to get to that. That's a story.
Sorry, I just thought of you. I thought Leo would not have
Leo's
been
made for this.
He wouldn't have been he wouldn't have never gotten the Steve Stink-Eye.
Because I'd be holding up a phone instead.
It's called the SSE, Steve Stink-Eye.
Steve Stink-Eye. What else? CES, we certainly will see a lot of people trying to kill the iPad, just as for years they tried to kill the iPhone. Is it going to be faster this time around because we've seen iOS has been around longer? Companies are a little bit readier to take on the iPad than they were to take on the iPhone?
I think that the main challenge for companies competing with Apple is they oftentimes don't have a very good grip of
why Apple succeeds.
Well, they mistake features for functionality.
Yep.
And that is the thing that Apple, I think, does extremely well. Sure, you can have a bunch of extra ports and you can have a bunch of other things you can do with it, but oftentimes that comes at a cost of functionality.
You would think by now people would have figured out what is the secret sauce Apple has, but they seem to still be baffled.
I think it's ethereal.
They have multiple problems. Among them is that Google still hasn't really firmed up their first tablet operating system. So everything we've seen up to now has been either pre-beta or something that was not designed to run on tablets to begin with. You've got a lot of hardware problems that developers are still dealing with, but mostly they really have lost the idea. If there's one thing that all these tablet manufacturers, or most of them, have forgotten, it's that even Apple did not release the iPad in a vacuum. That they made sure that we will release our own really good word processor for it. We will release our own really good Keynote program for it. And we will develop every program that we think is really critical to the success and adoption of the iPad. We'll let developers do their own stuff, but we're going to make sure that day one out the door, there are apps that have been built specifically for this. And we're not just going to let someone... we're not going to just license an iPhone app that will just sort of expand its dimensions to fit the new dimensions of the screen. That's a problem I've been seeing in so many of these tablets, where you could see the potential of what could be done with this hardware, but they're just saying, well, we're just going to go with docks to go, and we're going to let it just simply, again, expand to fit the margins of the larger tablet. And it's going to look like hell, and it's going to look like it really is going to look like a big Android phone, even though it would really not cost them that much money, considering the amount of money they've already put into the development of this hardware. They have to build it with a complete package. So anyone who doesn't do that is not going to succeed.
And the Apple apps set the pace. I mean, I think that's sometimes not a good pace, but they set the pace of, this is the way we think that the iPad, this is the way we designed it to work. And I think that helps inform the developers as to, where they could or should take the direction.
Yeah, it's again, difference between curation and Wild Wild West. There are advantages to both. This is going to be a good test of whether or not you really need to have a development program with a strong hand on it to saying, no, this is garbage, we're not going to let you sell this to our customers, versus whatever you guys want to do, please be innovative, please, whatever your strategy is, it's our strategy and we'll support you. This is going to be the test case between those two philosophies.
Motorola will have, I think, its tablet based on, you were talking about the Honeycomb, the next version of the Google OS. And the rumor is that Motorola's tablet, which they've been talking about, will be out. Vizio's going to have Android tablets. I don't know how many will be based on Honeycomb. But the other rumor is that Honeycomb will require dual processors. It'll be ARM9 minimum. It's going to be
but it'll be really cool.
Well, that's an issue because no phones currently support it. The only platform that does, I think, is the Tegra, and I don't know. I think there are some phones. In fact, we'll see phones at CES using the AMD Tegra platform, but
isn't
a lot of hardware.
Isn't this
it's a lot of power sucking hardware.
Yeah,
I mean, when you have multiple cores in a mobile device, you can't just simply put that out in the press release and expect all the Ewoks to dance and sing. You have to explain, oh, and by the way, and here's how we're going to get more than 2 hours and 20 minutes of battery life on a multi-core processor in a mobile platform.
Yeah.
Although the Tegra tablets that I saw last year that they built like 3 of just to show off at CES and then suddenly vanished just soon after like the $500 iPad was announced. They were pretty sprightly. The battery life seemed to be, from people who had them for more than 30 minutes, said they were kind of okay. So maybe they've learned something the past year.
It's very interesting. We're going to do iPad today at the show. Sarah Lane and I. We won't be streaming it live, but we'll have it out. Sarah's going to shoot it with me Thursday at 10, and we'll have it because we don't get our stage until Thursday afternoon at 2 or 1, I think. No, 2. We will start our broadcast at 1 p.m. Actually, Wednesday night we're going to be at Showstoppers or Digital Experience. Boy, I'm confusing everybody.
When is Showstoppers?
Showstoppers is Thursday night. We'll also be at that.
I sent a request. They ignored me.
Oh, no, we'll get you in the Showstoppers.
Okay, cool.
That's easy. Digital Experience is hard. It's that the Pepcom guys are tough. But Stephen Leon is a good friend. We'll get you in the Showstoppers.
Okay.
What was I saying? Oh, iPad today. Sarah's going to edit it that night, and we'll have it out Friday as our on schedule. So that will be we'll be covering all the iPad stuff at CES, but we'll also cover the iPad competitors.
Yeah.
Time permitting. There may be so many of them that we'll get a handful of them.
Yeah. That's the other difficulty. I think that this is going to be a real race to the bottom.
Right.
And if you got right now, I've seen 3 companies that have shown at least look cosmetically and somewhat functionally complete slates out there. Only one of them was really distinctive. And I'm not sure if the other companies are going to. The other companies, Acer and MSI, they're not noted for innovation. They're noted for, let's take this thing that the other guy did and find a way to make it more affordable and more accessible. And so how are any of these companies going to be able to distinguish themselves and say, here's why you want to buy our Motorola slate and not this one by Acer or not the one by Notion Inc. It's going to have to be a unique suite of software that they have, or a unique UI or a unique layer on top of Android that this company has that no one else has.
Do you think there's any issue with a supply of materials as well? I mean, I talked to there's a manufacturer who will remain nameless who has a product that they were supposed to ship in September, and they have a 1 penny diode or capacitor or something that they literally, they've had to delay it for 6 months, the release of this product, because that one little capacitor is also used in the iPhone and the iPad, and they literally, there is no amount of money that would allow them to buy them. Apple owns, it basically just buys them all.
Right.
And
neither love nor money.
It's a crazy thing.
By the way, NVIDIA makes the Tegra platform. I apologize. I got that wrong.
Which I think NVIDIA is going the right direction with their processing. I mean, of using the GPUs, these really fast GPUs to power stuff. It's just that I haven't seen it really work yet.
Yeah.
Details to come.
Yeah. Well, they certainly gotten a lot of enthusiasm behind them. It seems as though every tablet that was being shown at last CES was NVIDIA Tegra based on Android. So it's not as though there's a lack of people who are already lined up to figure out how to make this thing work.
I'm ready to see a 3D slate.
Stop with the 3D, you numbskull.
That's all I worked on yesterday was R&D for 3D.
Do you like 3D?
I like working on it.
I can tell you there'll be a lot of 3D camcorders there. People,
I'm ready.
They've got to create. They've got to get. I mean, 3D's not going to take off unless we get some content on it.
I have I got the new W3, the Fuji
3D camcorder.
Gosh,
oh, that's right. It's a still
awesome.
camera, right? That does 3D.
It does
video.
720p as well.
Yeah,
it is so awesome.
Oh, shut
the
up.
W1 was good. The W3 is great, and the screen is 3D. And it's
Do you have to wear glasses when you walk around?
No, because the screen is one of those ones like the Nintendo where you can look at it lenticular, and it totally works. And I mean, it really looks like 3D when you're shooting it. And then when you when I view it, I have this program called Stereo Splicer on the Mac, and it'll convert it to anaglyph and then right and left and everything else, and you can play.
Are you going to shoot 3D video at CES?
I'm going to shoot some. I'm taking the camera with me, so I'll post some of that to my everyone. Oh, by the way, everybody listening to the show needs to buy red and blue glasses because I'm going to stream.
You're doing anamorphic? Or what do you call it? Anaphylactic?
So if you watch too much of it, you get an anaphylactic shock.
What do you call it?
Alex Lindsay, watching him is like being stung by a bee. Catch it live.
Anaglyph,
thank you.
So here's the thing. So we're going to stream some segments live at Macworld in 3D. The only way to do that to everyone with 2D screens is anaglyph. So you can get them on Amazon for like $3, and we're about to run the entire supply out. But it's going to be, the thing is just have a little fun, live a little.
See, I like the way that Panasonic is doing it. They're creating an accessory lens for their 4/3 cameras, and so that it'll work with a lot of their 4/3 cameras. It'll work with some of their video cameras. So the idea is that you can buy your GF2 camera just as a regular still camera, but then like next year when you've got some reason to, when you've got $183 that has to be spent out of the petty cash budget, or else you'll lose that money in the budget next year. Guess what? You buy yourself a 3D lens. I'm not sure if I'm ready to buy a $500 camera that looks like
it's gotten down like on Amazon. I think it was like $360 or something like that. And
what about that they're doing this AGA F100? This is their video camera that supports micro 4/3 lenses. Have you seen that?
I have seen it. It looks great. They were talking about that on plywood
Twitter.
version at NAB.
Dvorak was all excited about that. It looks like
it's awesome.
It looks like one of those Ronco.
We'd like to. Well, that's that's not the real thing. That's the consumer version. That's what they were showing at NAB. There's another version. If you keep on going, I think. The actual version has more buttons on it. That was the concept version when they were still trying to get PR for it. If you do a search for that, you'll see one.
This is DP Reviews.
But if you
press release,
if you do a search, you'll see the one with all the buttons. And so it's awesome. It is. You're going to get. What you're getting is changeable lenses. You're getting a short depth of field. You're basically this is what Panasonic does in reaction to the Red.
I have the GF1, which I can shoot video with. It's probably the same as that, right?
Well, it's a much bigger. I believe that it's
a lot bigger.
It's a lot. Well, it also you're going to get SDI out. You're going to get it has SDI out. I think that they're talking about. I can't remember whether they said they were going to have a 444 option or not. I know Sony's version of this, which is going to be a little bit more expensive, is going to have a 444 option.
Why?
So Sony's doing one too. All of these are reactions to the Red.
Go.
So these are all like
this is their Red. So, but it's not 4K.
It's not 4K. But here's the reality: is a lot of people don't need 4K. I mean, the Red is great when you want it, but we take all of our Red footage and convert it back down to 1080p.
Right.
Because that's our pipeline is 1080p. So of course, what you're going to see here is a larger sensor is going to give you. And the problem is you've had these still cameras that can shoot video, but they're still cameras. They don't have the right control. They don't have the buttons in the right places.
Right.
And so what you're having here, this is a real video camera, and it's going to give you the real power. It's going to give you the features that you need to actually shoot. Solid video and be part of a production.
It's more like their Scarlett competitor than their red.
Although the Scarlett now is called the Epic X or S or something like that, and it's going to be like $12,000. So it's actually
how much is this?
I think it's
look at this
$5,000. Yeah, this is incredible though. I mean, the thing is this is filmmaking getting turned on its head, and we once again, no matter how much you love this one, what you want to thank Jim over at Red, because this is all a reaction to these guys did not want to do this. They did not want to
because it cannibalizes their
their upper end, all their upper end stuff. Why would you want a little sensor now when you can have something like this? And so for independent filmmakers, a $5,000 camera. You add the lenses to it, and you're going to end up with some really, really great stuff. And it's not the same as shooting a 5D. I have two of those, and the issue is that it's great shooting video with the 5D, but it's not a video camera. It doesn't act like a video camera.
It looks like a movie camera.
No, this one is like a movie camera, and what you're seeing here is just you're really look at that.
What is that lens?
It looks like a Zeiss. It might
so
be
they're
Zeiss
putting,
or Cook.
but Zeiss makes 4/3 mount lenses.
It's got an adapter.
Oh, it's an adapter.
Yeah, so there's an adapter on the front there. Now,
so
what you're seeing here, see the cable?
Yeah,
that's the SDI cable coming out. So now you're getting uncompressed SDI coming out of the back of there.
So we should buy these for our new studio.
To be honest, probably not. Here's why: is that
thank you.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I've been really happy. I've been doing lots of tests with the little Canons, and I'm really happy. Little camcorders.
The HV40s.
Yeah. I'm really happy with those. But anyway, the reason you don't want to buy this is when you're doing an ENG style shoot, the issue that you're going to really run into is you're going to be chasing focus all the time. You don't want to actually have to worry about everything being in and out of focus when you're shooting on a regular engineering situation. You want to be able to do that in certain environments. It does look great when you do it, but it's really hard to control. Like, we're going to shoot a bunch of our episodes at CES with a 5D, but that's only because I have my brother shooting, and if he's not able to come, then we'll shoot with the EX1, because it really is a crazy challenging thing to shoot handheld.
This is the same price as an EX1, the Sony.
Oh, this is
HD camcorder. Is it?
No, this is more. This is going to be twice as much. It's $5,000 instead of $2,700 for the.
Oh, okay.
But it's going to be. I mean, it is. If I was shooting, I would be very tempted. I have to admit, for what we use it for, I would be actually fairly tempted to use this instead of if I'm going to buy something, I'd be tempted to buy this instead of a Red.
It's kind of amazing.
Most of the kind of work that we do.
People are going to be making movies. Like, everybody's going to be making movies. Everybody's going to be the next Spielberg now.
Well,
I mean, it's crazy. By the way, thanks to UrbanFox.tv for that footage from that was from IBC 2010. I'm sure we'll see a lot from Panasonic at CES around this.
And 3D camera. They have a 3D camera too.
Yep, I saw that.
I had to bring 3D back in.
Yeah, I know, but it's a much bigger year for 4/3 than 3D. Because I think just last year, this was this kind of quirky, new emerging format where you really had it was a subtle distinction on why would you want to buy a micro 4/3 still camera as opposed to a $500 SLR or a $400 super premium pocket camera. But now it's really demonstrating that if you invest in the 4/3 platform, the lenses that you buy for whatever camera you buy today will work with whatever camcorder you buy next year, and then whatever 4/3 camera you replace your first one with 2 or 3 years from now. It's starting to look like a much better thing to put your money in.
That's what I've been saying for Canon glass. Get L lenses because the bodies will get better, but the glass is glass.
Right.
Now you're saying for 4/3, get stock.
I'm still stuck on that.
Especially because it's completely platform independent.
Right.
I read
4/3 is a standard, is an open standard.
It's an open standard, so you can buy an Olympus camera, a pen camera with 4/3 lens on it, and then just buy a Panasonic body next year, or the year after. Right now, I'm having so much fun with the 4/3 camera that I got last year that I'm really closely looking at the LX2 that's from Panasonic that's coming out probably in February or March, and there's a rumor that Olympus is going to come out with another 4/3 camera on that same line, just really, really teeny tiny body with a built-in flash, so you don't have to always shoot, like you're shooting the Third Man or something.
I'm actually glad I got that GH1 that I got, the Panasonic, and. So you're thinking now maybe the time. This is somehow turned into a photography show, but we'll move on in a second. But
they all work with iPhoto.
Well, you got PMA and NAB coming in, so you don't want to buy anything. I mean, I'm
not going to buy a body, but it sounds like I should buy more 4/3 lenses. Yes, no,
sure. I'm really into full frame lenses. I mean, like no, but I mean,
Brent. By the way, Brent is shaking his head behind you. I don't have a shot of him going.
I'm really. I have to admit.
What should we be buying, Brent? He says Canon glass.
Canon glass is not going to handle the new.
It's not going to handle the new 40 megabits. No, in fact, that's one of the issues with a lot of glass is the resolution is getting higher than the glass can resolve, which is stunning.
I don't care. See, the thing is, I don't need the resolution. What I need are larger photo sites. So the thing is that this is what I think Nikon gets better than Canon. And I have a bunch of Canon hardware, so it's really frustrating for me to watch from the sidelines as Nikon cleans up in this area. But what Nikon did is said, okay, we're not going to do higher resolution. What we're going to do is larger photo sites, and that means you're going to get much better low light performance. You're going to get 6400 ISO that you can actually
look at. I like full
frame.
I love full frame.
Right. And I think that I still think that Nikon is kicking Canon's butt when it comes to low light performance. You know,
I agree, yeah.
And it's because they went. You know, I think that once you get to 20 some megapixels, I really think you're in this zone of that's as big as we need it.
All right, we're going to move on because we're boring Ari to tears.
Sorry, guys.
We do want to talk about the Mac Store, and you mentioned Ewoks, and I have something to say about that as well.
I can't do Ewok. It's too small. I don't remember what they sound
It's
like.
too small. Well, can you do Darth Vader? The video is strong in this one. We'll talk about that in a bit, but before we do that, I want to mention a little bit about our fine sponsors, including those good people at Citrix who do GoToMeeting. You know, I said this last year. Now I'm thinking maybe when I looked at the bill for going to CES, maybe we should just do the whole thing via GoToMeeting. See, GoToMeeting eliminates business travel. It means you can have the equivalent of face-to-face meetings, but without leaving your desk. It is the online meeting service, the best in the business. The Citrix Association is one of the reasons. They really know remote access. They also know how to make great products that are easy to use, fast, reliable, secure, 128-bit SSL, great support too.
Well, so Citrix is really the original remote access people.
They are.
Right? I mean, that's what they originally did. Before all the GoToMeeting and everything else, Citrix was the ones that really wrote the book.
You're right.
Literally.
And in fact, if you're still if you use Windows Enterprise remote access, you'll be using Citrix. That's what everybody uses. I want you to try GoToMeeting for product reviews, for sales presentations, for online collaboration, for training. You don't leave your desk. It's easy to install. And what's really important, the people you're meeting with don't have to jump through hoops to meet with you. You send them a link, or you can send them an email invitation. It's all built in. And 30 seconds later, they click the link, and it says, okay, I think it's Java. We're going to install this. Good. 30 seconds later, they're meeting with you. So it's very easy for them. And boy, is it engaging. Eliminate the travel expenses. Eliminate the trouble, the hassles. Get GoToMeeting. Try it free for 30 days right now. GoToMeeting.com/MacBreak. GOTO meeting.com/MacBreak. We thank them for their support of MacBreak Weekly. A couple more CES notes. The Ewoks are coming. We don't know what this announcement is, but we've seen an invite from Panasonic.
They're bringing Ewoks?
Star Wars, the complete saga.
Ooh, Blu-ray.
Darth Vader is going to be at the Panasonic booth on Thursday. We'll be there as well to find out what he's going to announce. We know that they're releasing Blu-ray of the complete, but why is Panasonic doing it? And what I'm thinking is 3D.
And only on Panasonic 3D sets, which I just bought one, so
you don't mind.
No. I think it's stupid. No, I will say that this whole we're going to only be able to get a hold of 3D if you buy the right set box is going to kill 3D if they keep on going down that path. But I'm really glad that I'll be able to watch Star Wars in 3D on my TV. And so will Lisa.
Anything else? Yeah, Lisa got a Panasonic, beautiful Panasonic.
I think I got a smaller one, but it's the same.
She got like the biggest one you can. I mean, it was huge.
Yeah.
So anything else for CES for Apple? Apple. Yeah. Apple going once, going twice. You know how Apple's going to deflate this all? Because in 2 days, Apple's announced is going online, January 6th, with a Mac App Store.
Right.
That begins on what is that, Thursday.
Pretty excited to buy some apps. I'm excited to put our apps on it.
Real Mac Software's blog. The CEO of Real Mac Software, her name is, I can't remember. But if you go to the realmacsoftware.com/blog, you can read the posting. This week marks a turning point for independent Mac developers like Real Mac. They, by the way, they do software for developing, so they have a kind of a double stake in it. They sell, and they have many users who write software.
Right.
The Mac App Store opens its doors for the first time over the Christmas break. We've been giving it a little more thought. What changes will it bring to existing software developers like us? One, apps need to be more focused. That's kind of what happened with iOS. Each app does something simple, clear, and small and inexpensive because you can't charge too much on the App Store. Say goodbye to upgrade pricing. For the past 2.5 years, this is very interesting. iOS developers everywhere have eagerly awaited paid upgrades to come to the App Store. Stop waiting. They ain't coming.
Those are in-app purchases now. I mean, that would be the way to do it.
You can do it in-app purchase, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. Say hello to cheaper apps. I think this is one of the reasons that users are going to love it. They're also going to love it that the updates will happen, but they'll just happen automatically in the background. You won't even, just as they do on your iPad and your iOS, you say updates, update all, and you're done.
I hadn't done it. I was in Africa, and I got back, and I looked at it, and it was my iPad had 64 updates.
Right.
I was like, I'm so glad I have iOS at that moment because I hit
press
update,
one button,
and then I went, had dinner, and I came back, and everything was updated.
Make sure you're on Wi-Fi when you do that.
Yeah.
Any thoughts about the Mac App Store, Andrew? Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, Andy. This whole time I pushed a button and I killed your audio. Wait a minute.
That was me because
okay.
Daddy needed his second hour dosage, so I needed to turn that on. It's definitely going to be a great thing for users, and it's going to be a great thing for Apple because it'll get more eyeballs on the library of Mac apps. It still remains to be seen how good it's going to be for independent developers, because I've seen a lot of people who are extremely enthusiastic about it, but there's still a lot of concerns, like certain types of developers, they feel as though they need to have a really good thumb on who their users are, what sort of stuff they're doing, what they're using, what they're expecting from their apps. And Apple will drop down that wall, it looks like, between the person who makes the app and that list of people who are using it. So there are a bunch of different developers that I've talked to who they don't think it's a bad thing, but they think it's definitely not the right choice for them. So I'm really curious to see how that pans out. The other thing is that I'm hoping that, again, as a consumer, I love the fact that I can spend $1.90. I can drop $10 on the App Store for iPhone apps and walk out with 2 or 3 really good ones, and I can afford to throw away 99 cents, $1.99 on a gamble on an app that looks kind of nice, but I don't know. I'm on the fence with, who cares? It's 99 cents. I may as well just buy it. I just hope that there's so many great apps out there, desktop apps, that really cost 20, 30, 40, $50, and even at $50, even at $40, I'm amazed that Scrivener costs as little money as it does, because clearly so much work and thought went into it. I'm concerned that if it's easier to sell a really crummy word processor for $4.99 than it is to sell a professional one for $40 or $50. What that's going to do to Mac software. So that's why I'm really curious to see how well the Apple branded apps do and the Apple branded packages do, because I think that's going to sort of set the standard for what people expect to spend for Mac software.
Do you worry that free software will go away, or you will see less free software because it's so easy to charge $5 or $1 in the App Store, and it'll just make it easy to do that?
I think it will, and I have to admit that I don't have a problem paying for software if it means that it's going to be more sustainable and more likely. I actually get a little scared of free software because I'm afraid that it won't be around, later, because no one's making any money on it. And if they're charging, I'd rather have people charging $1.99 or $2.99 for software and staying around and updating it and having it be worth their while than have it for free and not know when it's going to go away.
Yeah, I'm just not sure if $1 or $1.99 is going to be enough money to get someone to keep updating that app.
Well, that's true too. But if it's a free app, it's better than what they were getting.
Exactly. And it's just the placement in the store where there's always going to be that one place where I can do that keyword search to try to find a list of HDR apps or find a list of alarm clocks and timers and stuff like that, rather than having to, as I have to do right now, hit 4, 5, 6, 7 different places, including just bookmark libraries to see if anybody else has been bookmarking apps that do this sort of thing.
Right.
So that's the big win for users, is just at least having one big depository for everything.
I will say that I really believe that reviews become more important, because I know that I see stuff on Macworld.com, for instance, and I'll see something and they'll go, "Oh, this is great," and at $2.99, if Macworld, if someone there says that, I go, "Oh yeah, I'll buy that."
But that demonstrates another big problem. Apple, if I can command Apple to do one thing to the iTunes Store, it's you need to have curated ratings. Period. because I think it's been pretty much demonstrated that the current system doesn't work. When you look at all those different ratings and you see out of a possibility of 5 stars, someone has given an application a 1-star rating, the lowest rating they can possibly give it. And you read the review and it says that I thought that this photo app would have an application that substituted the flash. It didn't have that feature. So basically, yeah, exactly. And the statement that they're saying is that if I bought this camera app and all it did was look at my address book and say, "Ha ha, Gern Ferguson, you're an idiot. I have your money. I'm not going to return it, even though this app does nothing," it would have gotten a 1-star rating.
Well, but I have to admit that. What I'm talking about is reviews on the web pages like Macworld or Apple Insider or Mac News Network. When I see the reviews there is the time when I go, I'm just going to buy that.
Curated reviews
but
as opposed to the wide.
Yeah, I see those curated reviews, and it's so the cost of entry is so low. I have to believe that those reviews must generate a lot of money for those developers. Now, I will look at it like if there's some that I'm interested in, I'll look at the reviews, not so much for the stars, but if everyone says in the last 5 days it's crashing, I just looked at an app like that. I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait on that one because it's obviously not cooked yet. If there's like 10 comments that says this crashed constantly,
that you pay attention to. Mark Booth says in our chat room that he predicts iAds will come to the App Store. That would be one way to keep free apps alive, is having a robust ad platform, not in mobile, but in desktop.
And see, that's another concern. I'd much rather give someone 99 cents to never see an app.
I don't want to see ads on my desktop.
No. A lot of different developers are also blogging about their experiences on having a paid model versus an ad-driven model. And most of them are saying we made so much more money off of this game or off of this utility as soon as we went to an ad model. And so if that becomes the default setting for most people who write apps for the App Store, especially the tiny little like one-horse operations that write a lot of the great software that's out there, if it means that it's going to be sort of assumed that if you download an app for a really good app for the Mac, you are going to see apps. You're not going to pay any money for it, but you are going to see ads. Oh, good gravy. Yeah. That's going to be a bad day.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind. The thing is, we're obviously scheming on a bunch of different pieces of a puzzle for Pixel Core and everything else. And one of the things that we're looking at is an ad-driven model for free stuff, but there's always going to be a way to pay for it so that you can bump up and get rid of those ads.
A pro version that doesn't have ads.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is that if you want it for free, that's nothing's for free. We got to pay for this somehow. And I think that's the reality of that situation. I do think it's important to let people pay through it. But I think Angry Birds now is making a lot more money on the ads than they are.
That's what they say. In fact, interesting article.
They made a lot of money.
Not only that, but they don't like developing for Android, according to Rovio. They prefer to do the paid version and not do the ad-supported version. That was the experiment.
Oh, really?
Well, that was the experiment, though. On Android it's free, but there's an ad in it.
I thought they were making a lot of money on that, though, on that ad-driven version.
I guess not. Let me see. I don't know. It may not have to do with how much money they're making.
What I think is crazy is that I didn't even know that they connected from the app to YouTube to watch the Angry Birds
videos.
My son figured that out. My 3-year-old son. Yeah. And that's all he does. He goes to Angry Birds. He doesn't play Angry Birds. He goes to Angry Birds because he knows that's how he gets to the Angry Bird videos.
They're launching it for the PSP and PS3 this week. Sony. Let me see. Angry Birds development leader. Oh, so it's not the money guy. It's Paul Vesterbacka who writes the software. He says Apple will be #1 for a very long time. He'd rather develop for them. See, this isn't the money people. So you're right. They may make more money. He says, 1, Apple got so many things right when designing the platform, and it's easier to make money from paid apps. Vesterbacka says it's just very hard to charge for apps on Android, and it's not that open because it's very Google-centric. Fragmentation's a problem. Not device fragmentation, but ecosystem fragmentation. Oh, this makes sense. Carriers adding their own app stores and adding stuff to the system that kind of unpredictably changes what you're doing. I don't know, though, if they're making more money than... I don't know if they've said whether they're making more money on ads. Have you seen that?
I thought I saw... There was a article that I was looking at that talked about their income, and the income was really high, but it looked like they were making almost enough per month that within 6 months they'd make as much as they made selling the app. it was like $1 million a month or something that they're making on just the ads.
Well, they didn't charge. I'll be honest, they didn't charge enough for Angry Birds.
Yeah.
on the Apple platform, had they known how successful it was going to be, it was like $1.99, right?
So this is according to IHI Games. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not familiar with it, but it was $1 million a month
in the ads
in ad revenue.
Yeah, that's got to be. Well, I don't know. They've got 21. What was the number of downloads? 21 million total.
Was it that much?
Some huge number. Yeah. And now they've added the eagle, the angry eagle, whatever it is.
What is the eagle?
Oh, you pay
I just
$1.
saw it.
It's in-store, in-app purchase. You pay $1, and you get one eagle that you fire, and it boom blows up all the pigs. It's more like satisfaction than anything else.
You know, you got to earn it.
I think so. I don't think you should get.
Although I love the idea that they're milking people who don't want to earn it because they're getting what they deserve.
Yeah. Well, but you know what it is? It's a lot of little kids.
Just
it's kids who don't realize, oh, that's actual money.
You know, I used to get really annoyed with the fact that every time you buy something from the iTunes store, you have to put in your password. Until my son had my iPad,
you know
and
why.
now he's like constantly like ready to buy stuff, and he's 3 years old, and he's hitting like he gets into the app store and he starts randomly hitting stuff.
Well, you know, at least his son, who's 7 or 8, does. She gave him an iPad for Christmas, and he gets right to the point where you get to buy the Mighty Eagle. And he clicks OK, and then just runs over and says, "There's an update, Mama." And she types in the password.
Man.
She's learned, I think.
I give my kids have my older kids have $10 a month, and then
that's what I do with the
That's dirty rotten though.
Oh man. Yeah,
there'd be some serious not using the iPad for a couple of weeks if my kids did that with
Angry Eagle stuck on a tricky level, out of levels to play. Bring on the Mighty Eagle. So I'm going to click the checkbox. What could be wrong with that? Well, they're just going to ask me for a password, right? Confirm your in-app purchase. Do you want to buy one Mighty Eagle for 99 cents? All right, I'll do it for you. I'm doing it for you. Enter the password. It needs an update, Mommy. And, you know, they keep updating. I have to say they're smart. They've got the hottest franchise out there now. And they update it. They continually
for free.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe that I opened. Go ahead.
If this were a game in 1986, they'd have their own Saturday morning cartoon show for one season.
Right.
Well, they've been working on it.
It's hard to see a game with this kind of success.
Yeah.
When it becomes a joke on the Daily Show, you know that you got something going here.
Okay, you want to do the honors? Do the first Mighty Eagle.
Let the eagle soar.
I don't know where the eagle is.
Did you get it?
Okay, so there's a baleful eye there. You click that, and then you can, if you say yes, you can use the Mighty Eagle.
Oh, okay.
Actually cancel and pick a level that you really hate.
Oh, but I already hit the. See, the thing is, I already hit the button. You already hit the button.
I don't know how many Mighty Eagles you get for $1.
I think you get one. I think you. Okay. Here
You can use once an hour. You can use it once an hour.
Oh, once an hour. Okay. Here we go.
That's not so bad.
Mighty Eagle.
It blows everything up.
Whoa!
It's the nuclear. It's the nuclear.
I do
option.
admit that was kind of fun.
Especially since it was my dollar. Now you can only use it once an hour. So stop. Now maybe you could use it again. I don't know. They're saying in the chat room you can only use it once.
Let's try it again here.
I smell.
No, I got another one.
Oh, don't use up all my Mighty Eagles.
Crispy dead bacon.
No, I did 2 of them.
Okay, let me do one.
Okay.
There's some levels that are driving me crazy. It would be very satisfying. Now you get an Eagle score. Eagle high score 100%. You only got 98% the second time.
I don't know. I guess you do have to place it properly to get.
There is Eagle placement involved.
Yeah. No, I was excited because I hadn't checked it for a while because I was working through seasons because I have 3 stars on every level on the regular one.
Right.
And I went back to the regular one. There was a whole other set of levels. I was like, oh man. Now I have to get.
I hate it when that happens. And by the way, I don't get on Angry Birds Seasons. I don't get the Eagle on that one. I got to buy that one separately, I guess.
You have to buy an Eagle for. Oh right.
Eagle purchased separately.
Very frustrating.
So, speaking of frustrating, there's some people in Australia who just didn't wake up on New Year's Day because once again, Apple. I read a very snide but very funny article in the Inquirer saying, if a Chinese alarm clock developer can write code that makes the alarm go off appropriately, what is the problem, Apple?
Yeah.
What happened?
No, I ran into this problem myself on Sunday morning, and it really it taught me something about my faith in Apple that I would really rather have not have known. because I was going to leave the house early. I set the alarm for 6. I woke up naturally at 7:30 in the morning, and so checked the time on my bedside clock. Frowned, picked up my iPhone, noticed that the alarm had been set, that everything been set properly. The AM, it was set to 6 a.m. It was still engaged. Looked at the system clock in the upper corner of my MacBook on the nightstand, and I looked outside and it was still kind of dark outside. And my first thought was, wow, how did both my nightstand clock and the system clock on my MacBook screw up like that? Because I was not willing, or at least in the first 5 minutes of being awake, I was not willing to believe that the iPhone had screwed something up.
But it did.
But it did.
So Apple says this is only on January 1st and 2nd.
I want to know what the code is that has it only not work on January 1st and 2nd. I mean, that is like, how does that happen?
And only for non-recurring alarms. Only for one-time only alarms on January 1st and 2nd,
you know what
2011.
I think Apple was doing this to protect everyone from themselves. It is the 1st and 2nd. You guys were partying, and you should just be sleeping in for the weekend.
What are you waking up for? What are you, nuts?
Yeah. Steve just said that people need to sleep, and we're going to just, do it whether they like it or not.
Someone at Apple called an all-staff teleconference for January 2nd. They said, guys, let's get together. There's a way we can make sure we miss the meeting, and nobody's blamed.
Now, here's my question, and I've seen little murmurs. I don't know if this is true or not. Apple said it's only for non-recurring alarms and only for the first 2 days of the year. By January 3rd, which was yesterday, it'll be better. But I'm seeing murmurs that it isn't better. It's not better, Brent? His didn't go off this morning, January 4th.
I turned mine off before it was supposed to go off this morning. So I don't know. I woke up before it and I turned it off.
What the hell? I mean, first of all, there's plenty of apps that you could use for alarm clocks, better alarm clock apps. Some of them which even play Twit when you wake up, which I'd encourage you to purchase Mega Weather Clock because when you wake up, Twit appears. However,
so fascinated by the code.
What the hell code could that be?
I know. It's like I don't understand.
If alarm is one time only and January, I can't think of.
It's got to be like some kind of Monday. It has to be something like some kind of no weekend thing. I think it has to do with something like Saturday and Sunday, like that are being treated differently in. I don't know.
So Ronald says delete all alarms, restart the phone, add alarms again. That should fix it.
And we'll know tomorrow morning after I miss my flight.
They don't put an alarm clock or a clock of any kind on the iPad. Maybe this is why. Remember that Apple, they didn't update the remote app for a long time, and they said, well, it's because one guy wrote it, and he's busy doing something else. I'm sure only one person wrote this alarm clock app.
He's busy doing something else.
Let's hope he's not writing launch code for ICBMs. I hope he's found a gainful employee where it doesn't matter if he gets it wrong. It's just a weird bug.
Yeah. And it's what's odd about it is that I have gotten to the point where it is a major crutch. Like that is my alarm clock.
You use
my
it?
iPhone.
Oh.
That's all I use to wake up is my iPhone.
Me too. I've yet to see. I've downloaded a couple of different alarm clock apps, and none of them have really worked as well as the alarm clock app. The basic idea of make it really, really easy for me to set an alarm and then play a really noisy sound at the correct time to wake me up.
And do it whether I have it on mute or not. That's the one thing that the alarm clock on the Apple version does is it'll play that loud tone no matter what you've done.
That's
and with
correct.
other alarms, I keep mine on silent almost all the time because I just don't like people knowing when I'm getting a phone call, so I can ignore it without anyone looking at me.
I've downloaded alarm clocks that say, "Oh, well, the phone is asleep, so I shouldn't wake up the phone, so I could wake up the user."
Right.
I've seen ones that have the problem that you said. I've seen ones that have a beautiful interface, wonderful, easy how to set it, but the alarm tone is a peep, 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 as opposed to the built-in the digital tone that is a part of the built-in iOS collection is the best one because it ramps up from so no matter what else is going on inside the room, no matter what, it can drive through everything and wake you the hell up. I don't understand why other alarm clock makers don't understand this. Like peep, peep, peep.
Pardon me. Excuse me. You asked me to wake
Do you
up.
have the problem where you have to change it? I have to change mine, or I'll sleep. Your
brain learns.
Yeah, I once had a dream where I was in a room and it was this giant. Everything was going beep beep beep. beep. Like I had this, and I was like, "What is going on? I can't." And I thought I was going to go deaf, and then I woke up.
Your brain hates you, man.
No kidding.
If it's willing to like camouflage to make sure that things stay going. I didn't have that problem for a while. I think my brain understood that I would punish it if it didn't obey the rule of the alarm. I wound up writing some code writing something for my PowerBook on the nightstand that it would generate a random number between 1 and 50. It would square that number, and then the alarm would go hooked up to speakers, and it would not shut off until it would display that squared number.
And you had to
it would
do the
not
math
shut off until I figured out what the square root of that was and keyed it in.
Wow.
And then it only took like 3 or 4 days, and I never slept through another alarm ever again.
The truth is, you don't need alarms.
I have
Just tell
kids.
your brain when to wake up.
You know that actually works really well.
Of course, it works well. This
But
is a crutch.
What's funny is I can't go to sleep if I don't have if I have to get up in the morning. I can't go to sleep without an alarm because
you
I'm
get
afraid-
worried.
I'm worried that I'll sleep through it. And
you don't trust your brain.
Right.
You need to trust your brain.
I now have a 3-year-old though who
He'll wake you up.
he comes by and says, "Yeah, he's ready for this morning." That's why I turned my alarm off was because
Right.
he fell out of the bed.
Already awake, were you?
Yes, I was. I heard. I was just awake enough to hear this glunk and then a lot of upset.
By the
And,
way, it was Deutsche Bank that said that the Apple was going to have a very good holiday season. Deutsche Bank sent buyers out into 50 Apple stores.
what are we guessing the final 13
12 to 14 million is the number
For the
I see.
year.
For the year for iPad sales.
I can't believe I undershot by that far. I mean, I was aggressive.
I thought 5 million. I was a little nervous when I made that bet with Dvorak. I thought this is about as aggressive as I'm willing to go.
I think I said 8.6.
And you were huge. You were huge. We all laughed and mocked at you.
You did.
12 to
This is why I
14
bring it up,
million.
you know, is
Yeah,
because
I know. You were
because
right.
there was
You
some
were right.
serious mockage going on when I
Were you the
said 8
highest?
points. I was the highest by far.
Boy, did we underestimate it.
I did, and I undershot.
I don't think the good news is I don't think we're alone. I think the entire tech industry underestimated it.
Yeah.
It's only Steve Jobs really knew.
Now, how many do we think? Okay, you know what? You know what we have to do now? New numbers. It's a new year.
Oh, it's going to be double that, right? It'd be 25 million.
25 million. So is that your final
That's my
answer?
conservative number, yeah.
I'm going to say 28 million.
Yeah, because you just want to be a little bit better.
I want to. No.
I think it actually could very well be 40 million.
Okay, well, if you could say 40 million, I'll say 28 million.
Okay.
Okay,
But I'm going to say
Andy?
25,
25.
28.
Andy?
I'm saying without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to be 18 million iPads.
There you go.
Old for editing. I'm going to say beyond any doubt, it's going to be 21 million iPads. Old for editing. I'm going to say beyond any doubt, it's going to be 29 million iPads at least.
One of those has to work.
So
I was going to say 25 million and one, because then that would get me into the prices
There's a $10
right.
Chipotle gift card in it for you if at the appropriate time you edit into the archives the right one of those.
Chris Whitmore with Deutsche Bank said in a note to investors today that checks over the holidays indicated Apple saw better than expected demands for both the iPad and, this is important, the Mac. Consumer demand for the iPhone showed no signs of slowing down, even with the rumored Verizon phone hanging over AT&T's head. He checked at 50 Apple retail and partner stores, found lines and crowds driving robust demand for the iPhone. Despite this high demand, these checks found Apple was well prepared with few out-of-stock events. Demand for the iPad, which remains largely unchallenged, is tracking ahead of his model. He's accordingly increased sales estimates for the fourth quarter to 6.5 million for 2010. And you want to know his number for 2011? 28 million.
I didn't even see that.
Yep. He had estimated 22 million.
Wow.
28 million.
We'll see if we're on the mark.
The number one iPad, the 32 gig with 3G connectivity, kind of in the middle there. That makes sense. And the $999 price tag of the 11-inch MacBook Air drove a lot of sales.
That's what I was wondering. I was wondering how big the Mac sales were, just the 11-inch, because I do have to admit I have one and I really like it.
Love it. It was my pick of the year.
I have the 13 and the 11, and
that's interesting because you got the 13 for the SD card slot, but you use the 11
well, we got
more?
both of them because we were using them for, as you know, remember I told you we use Keynote for lower thirds. and we wanted to try to find the smallest computer
Wow.
that can feed that in. And turns out they're not quite like we have to figure out how we're compressing them and everything else. So they weren't playing back as well as we'd like them to.
Right.
But I have to admit, now that we have them, I'm really trying to figure out if I can fit my life into an 11 because it's
all I'm bringing
really
to Vegas, and then
awesome.
the big test will be when I go on Mac Mania 11.
Are you taking the 11?
I'm going to take the 11 and nothing else.
Ooh, he's going crazy.
It's going to Antarctica with me.
And I am going to try to put Final Cut on it just to see what happens. I think I can
That's
actually do a lot of work.
insane. That's nuts.
You know,
Let me know if it works.
I'll let you know.
You only get 64 gigs, or did you upgrade it?
No, I think it's 60. I think it's no. I got
the
128.
I got 4 mega RAM, but I only got 64.
No, I got
gigs.
the 128.
So I figured I'm going to be doing cloud, and if I need, I will bring a USB external hard drive for photos and stuff.
I finally moved almost everything off my computer because it's just I have to give up on the internal drive.
Yeah.
I don't trust you anymore. Internal drive. You will only get the system and applications.
And with that SSD, it's so fast. God, it feels good. Anyway, he says he's upping his iPhone sales predictions for the holiday period to 16 million for the last quarter. He says he expects Apple will sell. Let's ask this question before I tell you. How many iPhones will Apple sell this year?
53 million.
God, you must be reading this guy's stuff.
No, is it?
Andy, what do you say?
I would put it in the low 40s with additional carriers.
Did he say? Is that what he said?
Analyst Chris Whitmore with Deutsche Bank says his original prediction for iPhone sales in 2011 was, I had it right here. I scrolled past it. 55 million. He's upping it to 60 million. So you're very close, Alex.
I think it's going to be crazy big.
He says that's even if Verizon doesn't come along. And he said if Verizon comes along, he says another 5 to 7 million units. I'd say 10.
Yeah. My dad will be pissed.
Now, he's global. He's considering global sales.
Right.
And GSM is much bigger than CDMA everywhere else in the world. Wow.
It's amazing to see, like when I'm in Africa, it's amazing how many people have iPhones they're all jail. I mean, the only way to get them is to smuggle them in and jailbreak them.
Incidentally, yeah, you mentioned that
And
before.
everybody's got them.
And it was that way in China, but now you can buy them. But it was that way for a while. Apple will report its earnings for the last quarter of the calendar year, first fiscal quarter, January 18th. So 2 weeks from today.
And it will be good. It will be good news.
It's it's not going to be bad news.
Did you see that they broke $300 billion in market cap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did they
Figured
pass
IBM
Exxon?
now- yeah, exactly. It's the fact that they're now competing with energy companies for market cap. That's
Only one. There's only
Exxon's
the only one in front of them, and they're catching up. Oh.
I think one of the things they're going to do with that extra campus that they bought from HP, they're going to build a Scrooge McDuck style money crib, and they just that's part of their fitness program. 2 laps every single day between the hundreds and the $50 coins.
They were
If you've never bathed in dollar bills, you've never lived.
Well, there was a lot of talk at Apple about building their own printing press, and then they decided to just keep on making iPads.
Yeah,
it's more lucrative.
Yeah.
You could print money, or you could sell iPads.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really hope that they use some of this to go on one hell of a spending spree. Because
They have the
What should they
cash.
buy?
Yeah, what should they buy? Wait a minute.
I
Don't
think-
say. We're going to take a break. That's called a tease. And talk about Carbonite. You were talking about backup. This couldn't have been better time. Did you plan this, Alex Lindsay?
I did not.
You were talking about how you don't trust the local backup because of disaster.
You got to
never know.
You got to have anything that's important has to be on the cloud.
It's got to be in the cloud.
There's got to be a copy on the
And
cloud.
you said it should be automatic?
Yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I don't have one backup of anything. 2 copies is not enough. You need 3 copies.
One
at least.
one local, one somewhere else, and one on the cloud.
Yep.
And then you're safe.
Yeah, and you need and actually the 3-2-1 backup formulation that Peter Krogh came up with is 3 copies of all data. That can include the original and 2 backups. 2 different media. So you don't want to put all your eggs in the DVD basket, or all your eggs in the online basket.
As someone who's been slowly rebacking up all my DVDs and CDs, if you have stuff on CD and
Get
DVD,
it off of there.
get it off. I
found some great degradation.
I have this great home movie I shot of my kids, and I put it on
that's sad.
CD at a iMovie, and it's flaking. So I got some of it back, but I didn't get it all back. And I was just like, I cannot believe I did that. Cannot believe it. So now, you gotta
3-2-1. 3 copies, 2 different kinds of media. One of them must be off-site. And this is now. And you mentioned earlier the other important criterion: automatic. You don't want to have to think about it.
It's got to be in the background.
Carbonite does all of that. So, well, not all of it, but it does. It does the copy in the cloud, and it does it automatically. It does it very affordably. Mac or PC, $55 a year for all the data. Now, somebody sent me an email. I can't remember what he said. He said like I had a terabyte of data. And he said it was going to take weeks. Well, of course it is. It's dependent on the backup speed of your internet connection. It's not magic, but it will. The price is the same.
Is it any drives hooked up to your?
No, because if you think about it, and people ask me about that a lot too, and I defend Carbonite because all people would have to do is just keep plugging in new drives, and you could back up an infinite amount of data for $55. So what they do is say your internal drive, personal data on your internal drive. I think that's completely fair.
I have a really big internal drive.
Yeah, but now here's the other side of this, and this is why we offer the 2-week trial. It does depend on your upstream bandwidth. So if the other thing, you can only go as fast as your internet goes.
And not only that, you got to remember that if you're using Comcast, there's a 250 gig per month limit, and if you go over that, they don't tell you what will happen, but mostly they'll just turn you off.
And that includes
they'll put you on trickle.
So what I would suggest is do the trial, do the 2-week trial. The first full backup could take weeks. But from then on, the incremental backups are in real time because, you're not, unless you're creating a lot of data. I wouldn't back up your massive video files.
No, I don't. I back up. The things that I really worry about backing up are obviously my kids' photos.
Yeah, absolutely. Key
sample files from the company. It's not like I try to back up everything we create because I create too much data. But a lot of the stuff like that I would really feel sick if I lost. That's the stuff I make sure is in the cloud.
You bet. $55 a year. Try it free. Here's what you do. You go to Carbonite.com/ I have it right here. MacBreak. Carbonite.com/ MacBreak. You can try it free for 2 weeks. You don't even need a credit card. It's very easy. If you like it, and I know you will, I want you to also use the offer code MacBreak when you check out at Carbonite.com, and you'll get 2 free months. $55 a year minus the 2 free months. So it's a very good deal. Backup done right. Off-site, automatic, Carbonite.com for PC or Mac. Skype. Have you tried the new Skype yet, Andy? It apparently has video.
Yep. I got to look at it before it was released. And
I ask you because you hate Skype, so I'm just kidding.
I don't hate Skype. I just hate it every time it fails to work, and every time it does something stupid that a smarter program would not screw up.
Right.
Again, if all it has to do to really get into my good graces is that if you see 2 cameras hooked up to this machine right here, and you can guess which one you want to use, why don't you go with the last one that I use, or the one that I use all the time, not the one that I never ever use. So that's
now this new Skype is available today. Does it automatically upgrade if I have Skype installed? Will it say, "Oh, you have a new version"?
I do not know. Oddly enough, I did not have Skype installed on my iPhone before. Let me look.
Audible's updated. We Rule is updated. Tango video calls. No, it didn't say that. So maybe I don't. Yeah,
maybe it's a new download. It is definitely available.
Yeah.
It works. It actually works very well, even over 3G. I did my big test of it was I left my MacBook's iSight camera pointed at HBO. and then went out to Chipotle to have myself a nice little dinner and watched the Carrie Fisher's One Woman Show.
That's a good idea.
Via Skype over 3G.
Wow.
And with the understanding that this is a 3G connection, it worked perfectly fine. The audio was fine. It was keeping up with the video just fine. The video almost always was very, very good. The frame rate, when it dropped down, was down to maybe 5 or 6 frames per second, and that was dropping down. And it was reliable enough that when it disconnected after about 52, 53 minutes, I felt as though over an unstable 3G connection, I felt as though it had really done its job well. Over Wi-Fi, it works perfectly great. And I also like the fact that it's extremely well integrated into the rest of the Skype app. It's just they've integrated into the Skype app as well as Apple integrated FaceTime into the phone app.
So would you use this in lieu of FaceTime, or is it in addition to FaceTime?
Well, the two very different things. The great thing about FaceTime is that it's part of the phone system. so that at any time, if you're talking to somebody who's if you get an incoming phone call, if the phone rings, you answer the phone, and then 10 seconds later you can be chatting on FaceTime. With Skype, it's always going to be a case of leaving that application running in the background, and that's going to eat up, even when you're not chatting, that's going to eat up power.
Well, Skype is a crazy power hungry app when it's in the background.
Really?
Oh man, it just sucks it right out of their phone.
I guess you do get an update because I didn't realize, but I am updated, so it must have done the update and I just didn't notice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I talked to Skype before it was released, and they were saying that the power demands really depend on how many users, how many people you have in your contacts list.
Oh wow!
Because it's the load is based in the background somewhat based on that.
That's definitely my problem.
Yeah, so I certainly wouldn't have it set up so that I'm just wandering around not expecting an incoming Skype call and just trusting that it would work out well for me. But most, I shouldn't speak for most people. It just seems as though most of the time when I talk to people about how they use Skype, it's not they hang around waiting for a call to come in. It's always, they're Facebooking each other and commenting, "Hey, yeah, let's do Skype like tomorrow at 7. We'll talk." So I think it's a very, very nicely done app. It works really well. And if it's one more reason why I can now travel without having to take my MacBook with me, because I can now do MacBreak from my phone, I'll definitely take it.
This is great. I just called myself and it's working great.
I found that over Wi-Fi, I didn't think the quality was as good as FaceTime, but over 3G it was much better than Facetime. Because
does FaceTime do 3G?
No, that's why it's much better. It was much better than FaceTime in that area. Yeah, exactly.
So I'm going to turn on the camera. You can use front or back. Okay.
And you can switch in between in the middle of the call, so that's not a problem.
Oh, that's nice. So let's see here. I'm going to bring this up on our screen. And let's just take a look at how it does here. I'm going to have to push some buttons on our lovely TriCaster, and here I am. Well, that's pretty good. That actually is great.
Yeah.
I would think of it as it's like I wouldn't. I guess if I was in trouble, I would. If this was my only choice, maybe I'd try to do it with MacBreak. But I just changed the. Wow, it's changing the angle for some reason. I don't know.
What do you mean changing the angle? Rotate it. Does it do the FaceTime rotation?
The other one.
No, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, are you on 3G or Wi-Fi?
Now
that's Wi-Fi.
This is over Wi-Fi.
Okay. So it's not a fair test. I could put it on 3G. Shall I do it? Shall I put it on 3G?
And I think it's a little behind.
But better than being a big behind.
Here, wait. Go like this.
Okay. Ready?
Oh, it looked pretty instant.
It's almost instant.
Yeah.
That's pretty quick.
Is that the taste test?
Yeah. When I looked at it, for people listening at home, they're not, nothing to see here. Move along.
You missed Leo licking his iPhone on Skype.
But it did it almost instantly. Now, let's switch off. I'm gonna hang up.
Okay.
And I'm gonna switch to. I presume I can't switch to 3G without losing the call, so I'll hang up and try switching. This is pretty cool. It's free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it works great. I was very
Skype
excited.
when it's true that when FaceTime came out, Skype said, well, we'd love to do FaceTime, and Steve said, yeah, it's going to be open. I guess Skype gave up waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, what a big loss for Apple, because people don't do FaceTime. They do. Skype has really embedded itself as the standard. If people know how to do video conferencing or video chat, they're doing it via Skype. And if I'm going to have to teach a relative of mine who's never done this before how to do chat, I'm certainly going to install Skype. I'm not going to I'm not going to give them one of the 3 or 4 alternatives that will work for point to point, but it's not really an ongoing thing, is it?
Right. And this will go to desktops. It will go to Windows PCs. It will go to, I don't know what other phones they've installed this on. I should look at Skype on Android. Maybe
they said that rolling it out for Android devices in 2011 is a big priority, but they said that the hitch is, as you can guess, so many different pieces of hardware out there. This is a piece of software that requires a lot of intimacy with the graphics hardware of the device, and so they don't want to just roll out a version for one model of Android phone. They want to wait until they have enough models out there that they feel as though if you have an Android phone, you've got a really good shot of finding a version of Skype available for your device that will work with video.
So now I'm placing a 3G video call. We'll see if that... Can't see your video, right? I have to turn it on. You have to turn it on each time, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah. No surprises.
Yeah, you want to try? Let me see. I think I actually set up like a.
That looks pretty good.
I got it. This is gonna, so this is 3G. It's not nearly the frame rate. I think the quality is the same, roughly the same, but the frame rate is slower.
We'll also realize that everything in that frame is changing from frame to frame.
Right. I should just make it static.
If you do, yeah. If you have the phone perched on something and it's a talking head sort of. Oh yeah.
I'll stick it right there.
It's like you want us to scratch it behind the ears and call you a good boy. Who's a good host? Such a good host.
All right, now let's try it. I haven't moved.
What's your cookie?
I mean,
You
I'm
gonna get a
moving, but
cookie?
it's still, you can tell they've degraded the quality of the video considerably. It's and the frame rate's lower, but it keeps up.
Yeah, you could have a useful conversation this way.
Yeah, this is on 3. Yeah. Now, I stand by my contention that this is a very limited video calling is a very limited appeal. People with new babies.
Well, I think that I think having kids and video calling, be able to call your parents and stuff like that and show them videos.
It's a very specific market, though. I don't think it's a general market. I'm not going to call my wife using Skype.
The one that I'm surprised someone hasn't built yet, and maybe they probably are building it, and I don't, is I would call if I was going to build an app, I'd build one called First Responder, and I'd put them into 911 things and let people an app for your iPhone that you can actually attach to. You can say, I'm seeing this right now.
No, that would be interesting.
That would be really useful with a GPS location.
Police and fire, they should get on board the chat roulette bandwagon along with everybody else.
Well, the thing is that we know who you are and we know exactly where you are. So posting something that didn't work would probably not be a lot of fun. So, but I think that would be really useful when it comes to this is what's happening right now and I need help.
Yeah.
I've fallen. I can't get up.
I put Skype way up higher, though, on my attention list when I realized that I think there's a generation that is using Skype more heavily as their communications infrastructure than any other generation that came after it. Because when I got a little bit more active on Facebook, and now I've got my nieces and my nephews, I'm sort of following them, and you see what people have been writing on each other's boards, and that phrase just keeps coming up. Hey, let's Skype tomorrow night, or I'll talk. Yeah, let's continue this over Skype on Tuesday when I'm out of my classes. So there's a lot more video calling being done amongst the younger generation.
No, I do it all the time on the desktop. Well, I do it every day, but I mean. Yeah. On the desktop, I just don't know how about on the phone, how useful that is. I mean, my kids do a lot of video chatting. I never see them use a phone for it.
But I think that it means that you can walk away.
Say again, Andy?
Sorry, have they ever had a good app for it before?
Well, they've had FaceTime. We'll see. This will be the test.
I do think this is a testament to the fact that, as Andy said, Apple really gave up a lot of initiative when they did not open up FaceTime more quickly. Because the thing is that there are a lot of people now that are going to create all the stuff, and Apple, and Skype's now there, and FaceTime should have been something that they immediately or within a couple months had an API that people could use to build all this stuff out. And without doing that, I don't know if FaceTime will be that successful.
Do we have any speculation that we'd like to make about an Apple event, when it will be? Some are saying, Apple Insider says by Valentine's Day. I think that's pretty safe to say. Sooner?
I really don't know what to say. The fact is that Macworld Expo is now the last week in January. I think that'll push an Apple announcement into February.
They don't want to compete with Macworld Expo.
Well, also, yeah. I mean, it's not so much it's more like they want control over the event. They want control over the news that happens out there. And also, it'd be way more too convenient for me if I happen to be in San Francisco that week, having paid my own way coming in. If they make sure that I don't have to come back in a week later for their special event. So for that reason, I think that they're going
this is the Andy Ihnatko reason.
But yeah, I would say first or second week in February.
I think it depends on whether there's going to be a lot of new features. If Verizon does announce it this week, I think then we don't see another announcement until the new iPad, and that'll be March.
I think they're going to want to say they're going to want to answer all the news that's coming out of CES, and they're going to want to say no, I know that this Motorola tablet looks kind of vaguely iPad shaped. It will displace the exact same amount of oxygen from the atmosphere in your office as an iPad. However, it ain't no iPad, and it certainly ain't going to be the iPad that we're going to be selling you in 3 months' time. Let me show you what that's going to be all about. So I don't think they're going to let a lot of time go by after CES before they show off the iPad 2.
One more story, and then we're going to get your picks of the week. This was an interesting story that I just picked up. Sony, and I imagine others will do this, is embedding special features into the iTunes versions of its movies. If you buy, not rent. Features that are not currently available even on DVD. For instance, you'll be able to, and I haven't verified this, although apparently the Will Ferrell movie, The Other Guys, has this feature along with Salt, the Angelina Jolie movie. I just can't bring myself to spend $20 for either of those.
No, I saw Salt on the plane.
Should I buy it?
No.
I want to test this feature. So
it's a good ride.
2 features. Ready? One, you could open a text search and you could find anywhere in the script and jump to that point in the movie.
Oh,
that's pretty awesome, isn't it?
That's very cool.
Yeah. And the other feature is the ability to take and embed clips. You could say, take this much, send a link, and now there's an embedded clip on my friend's blog or my blog.
How does it...
It must be pulling from a server somewhere because it's obviously not pulling from your copy. I don't know. Maybe it does make a copy. All right, I'm going to have to spend the money. I could see that. I could see now that I need to spend the money.
You take one for the team.
Take one for the team. I'll buy it. Maybe before the show's over, I'll have downloaded it. I doubt it. Worth a try. Let us take a break. We will get your picks of the week in just a moment, my friends. But first, I would like to say hello to you and all our friends across the land and talk a little bit about Audible.com. Audible is that great resource for anybody who spends any time in the car, at the gym, anywhere where you can't hold a book but would like to get some reading done. I am loving Keith Richards' biography, Life, and I'm still reading it. I know I've been talking about it for a long time because it's a long book, but I just can't tell you how much I like that, and I highly recommend it. But I know Andy will have a recommendation as well. So here's the deal. If you go to audible.com, take a look around. I mean, this thing is a big site, 75,000 books, all categories, including bestsellers, classics, business, mysteries and thrillers, romance, science, technology, self-help. I mean, on and on and on. All kinds of books. 75,000 total. In fact, that's really the challenge, to come here and say, well, and I want your first book to be a great book. I want it to be one that you realize the potential of this platform. Great readers, great books, and you can listen to them anywhere. I live for audible.com. Now, I want to ask you, Andy Ihnatko, what you're reading these days, because we need to find a good recommendation.
Well, I'm halfway through a really interesting book that's kind of given me extra perspective on how technology gets developed and marketed and used. And it's actually has nothing to do with digital technology. It's called The Gun by C.J. Chivers, Chivers. And it's a wonderful book about the development and the reality of the Kalashnikov rifle, the AK-47, that it uses this gun, the most I think he describes it as the most ubiquitous gun anywhere in warfare, and uses it sort of as the hub to tell a lot of different stories about how wars are fought, the sort of people who are fighting these wars, how weapon systems get made, why some of them are successful, why some of them are failures, and then some of them are just about the development of this product itself. It's humongously successful product if you set aside the horrible things that it does. And the lessons that it teaches about how important it is to know how a certain thing is going to be used. The lesson being that it's not an elegant rifle. It's not necessarily very, very accurate, but it's 10 pounds. It's really, really light. You can make them extremely easily, and they always work. That's the point of the AK-47. It always functions. If you take care of it, it functions. If you don't take care of it, it functions. If you bury it in the sand for 5 years, come back and dig it up and rinse it out in dirty water, it will function. And one of the most interesting sections of it is when he compares it to the weapons that were being issued to troops in Vietnam, which were precision instruments, pride of American engineering and construction and craftsmanship, but they're very, very fussy, and they required skilled people who know how to operate this weapon to keep it running. And if you omitted a certain step in its maintenance, a daily maintenance routine, it would jam at a very, very bad time.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, these soldiers were fighting against people, right, exactly.
Right.
We're fighting against people who are armed with these weapons that simply always worked. So I'm only about halfway through it right now, and sometimes it's he tells every part of the story going back 100 years, well before the development of the weapon itself, to just talk about how how brutal the idea of finding live bodies to shoot weapons for your cause is, and how functional the AK-47 is in that sort of struggle. Sometimes he gets into engineering, but sometimes he gets into the very, very personal level of here's what it is like. Here's what it's like to be shot at by an AK-47. Wow. Here's what it's like to be in a field of battle and be able to tell that this one has. It's so easy to make this sound glib. I hope I don't make it sound that way. Just like you might have hear a car drive by, and you know that, well, this was based on a Chevy engine, but it's actually on a different block. This one was manufactured in a plant in Plymouth, but this one was put together in the plant in the southern United States, because you can sort of tell by the way it rattles that each AK-47, the ones that are made by under certain licenses by certain plants, have a certain distinctive sound. Others that are being done as a counterfeit also have a distinctive sound that will tell you where you should aim your fire, because those guys are probably the people that we bought the guns for to fight on our sides. Those are the guys who probably are using the guns we bought 10 years ago for the side that now is defected, is now shooting at us instead. It's so fascinating on so many different levels.
I've got to listen to this. This sounds great. Yeah. Michael Pritchard, one of Audible's best narrators, reads it too. So this sounds like a great title. This could be yours for free, but if that's not your cup of tea, there's 75,000 other choices. Audible.com/MacBreak. When you go there, you'll sign up for the gold account that gives you a book a month. First one's free, first month's free, and yours to keep forever. You can cancel it at any time. When you're there, also look at the free for members section, because members get a lot of free stuff. It's just a fantastic resource. It's kind of my library these days. I haven't been in a library in years. I spend time almost every day at audible.com. Audible.com/MacBreak. Give it a try. I think you will like it. New Orson Scott Card book. I just see. Ooh, see? I get excited.
It's how I clean my house.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh, yes.
Like anything that I'm doing, that driving, cleaning my house, doing things that I don't really want to do is usually when I'm listening to a book. Because it doesn't require enough of my brain that I couldn't do that. That's why I don't want to do it. But it allows me then to absorb some new cool information.
I love it. Time for our picks of the week. We'll start with you, Mr. Alex Lindsay.
I've got two. One for my iPhone, one for my computer.
$1,000s of dollars, one free. Okay.
They're both very inexpensive.
We're taking one of your, and we're borrowing.
One is free. The one for the Mac is free.
We're borrowing one of your picks, the Key Pro recorder.
Yes.
For our CES coverage. So
you make fun of it.
Yeah, I'm not making fun of it now.
Yeah.
In fact, I want to buy one.
It's awesome. It is.
So I'm listening. I'm listening to your picks.
So two of them. One is, I was talking about stereo, and I've been doing a lot of stereo stuff. This is free. It's called Stereo Splicer, and it's on, and I don't know who makes it, actually. It was one of those things that so here's the problem. You get these Fuji W1s or W3s, and the software that comes with the Fuji is useless. So it's a great camera. The software is useless. Don't even install it, because it'll just make you angry. It'll just make you frustrated. It'll make you hate it. Fuji.
I know. I hate to bundle that crap in.
But it's so bad. It's like completely useless. I don't mean it's bad. Like kind of not working. It is like don't just burn the CD. So
do you
so
use the Canon software or the Nikon software?
No, I don't use any of the software.
Don't use the manufacturer's software.
But the Fuji one is the worst of all of these, and so don't do that. They should just buy this guy. They should pay this guy. This is it's an application. Oh, and then there was a PC version, a shareware PC version so I had to relaunch into PC into Boot Camp every single time I wanted to convert to 3D. This one's called Stereo Splicer. And it is a free app as far as I know, and it's in beta, and I think it's on a guy's Mobile Me account. Yeah.
Looks like it's on a Me account.
Yeah, and so I really feel bad.
We'll put the URL in the show notes.
We're about to crush him.
It's ridiculous.
But it's anyway. So it is this guy. It's some smart programmer who has needed it for his W1 and W3. What happens is they create 3D AVIs and MPOs. Apple should support MPO for aperture. I'm not saying that they will, but they should. If they're listening, they should support MPOs. And what it lets you do is you can open them up, you can change the parallax, you can export it. It has all the features that you basically need to have some fun with your 3D camera, and it is free. So so definitely, if you're thinking about playing around with, I have to say, the W3 is the most fun I've had with a camera for a long time, and I do a lot of photography. $350, $400. It's really a lot of fun, but you need this application to make it fun. If you just get the software with it, you'll hate Fuji and you'll hate the camera, and this makes it fun. So anyway, second recommendation. So that's Stereo Splicer. Is both of these are image based. I guess these really should have been anyway, but
That's okay. This has been a camera show.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Okay.
So the second one is called Filter Storm.
And I've downloaded it. I love it.
And here's one of the
It's
cool
amazing.
things. It's got all these filters and it's got curves. So you can actually add curves. So here's my see, look at that.
Yeah, you can actually recover a photo that's improperly exposed. It's the most amazing.
There's my son with a twip.
I found out about this on Instagram. Somebody showed a before and after, and there was this photo that was completely underexposed. You couldn't see the kid.
Right.
And he fixed it. I don't know how they. This thing
and
is
the fact
amazing.
that when I finally found a good app that is responsive and you can actually put curves on it, I was just like, okay, these apps are starting to get interesting. We're starting to really get into this. They've got a bunch of little filters, but for me, just having a curves dialog to be able to apply to any image that I want was a big deal. And it's very well implemented. So, and I think it's like whatever, $199, $299,
right,
whatever it is, it's worth buying.
Very cool.
Those are mine.
Curves. I got one that's free. How about that? And it's actually an open source project that has been ported to the Macintosh, which sometimes I know scares you Mac people. But I'm a fan of open source, and maybe this is a product we don't really need because we've got iTunes. But if you've ever used Amarok on Linux, you probably know about the Amarok player, which is a fantastic kind of iTunes-like player for Linux. Clementine is updated, written for not just Linux, but Mac and Windows as well. And this is an amazing... Hey, it's free. Now, I got to warn you, because it's open source, there's a lot of people who have versions of this, and I'm not sure I'd trust them. Get it from the source. Clementine, like the orange, -player.org. And I say like the orange because the logo is a little orange slice. It is a really sweet player with some very sophisticated, nice features, the kinds of things you probably don't see very much on Apple stuff. It can play a whole bunch of formats. It does a lot of interesting things. I'm not necessarily saying that this is what you definitely want to get in replace for iTunes, but because it's free, it's certainly something you might want to add. It will, of course, import all your music and so forth, just as you would expect. And play almost anything as well. And I think just a very nice little player that does a lot of interesting things. Clementine, and it's free. Has a lot of tagging capabilities, playlist capabilities, some visualizations, transcoding. It will download, by the way, this is really nice. It will download a lot of album art and descriptions and so forth from the internet. Well, you could select a different visualization. Look at all the visualizations.
I like it.
Yeah. I mean, if you just want visualizations, this is an area where iTunes really kind of could have done a lot better, right? This has every visualization engine known to man, including all the Geis engines, which I love. So, you can really make your music visual if you want. If nothing else, this would be a good choice. Clementine-player.org. Andy Ihnatko, your pick of the week. Actually, we'll just have some visualizations while you speak.
Turn off your mind and wax and float downstream. It's time for the mellow hour.
Actually, I should probably play some music. Then you'd get a visualization.
Actually, how appropriate. It's now 4:20 in the afternoon here on the East Coast.
Float downstream with us.
Sometimes you do feel the hand of divine providence in your daily life.
Oh, by the way, excellent radio playing capabilities, including IceCast streams, which means you can listen to us in this. I should have mentioned that. Go ahead, Andy.
Yes, and any app is enhanced if you can lison to us.
Always good.
Developers take note. Okay, well, I of course got the memo that this was going to be a photo-centric pick of the week.
Thank you.
I just happened to pick a plugin for Aperture and Photoshop that I've been playing with for the past week and a half, 2 weeks. It's called Neat Image, and you can get it at neatimage.com. It's one of my. I had sort of I had an experience a few months ago taking pictures at the New York Comic Con where I was just terrified of taking the ISO of my camera anywhere above 800. Because I've just always known that it is anathema. You can get good shots at 400 ISO. You can sometimes get okay shots at 800 ISO. Anything above that is total garbage. There'll be so much digital noise that it just won't be usable at all. And after going through all my pictures, I got some good shots, but I really wish that I'd tried to go up to the 1200, 1600 just to see what my camera could do. So it's been sort of a background task to try to lose my fear of high ISO. Newer cameras are much, much better at high ISO photography than the previous ones. And there are better plugins like Neat Image that are designed specifically to reduce the amount of noise and garbage that you get by shooting high ISO. It works as a plugin. I've got the Aperture version of the plugin, and really all you do is it's a quick 2 or 3 step process. You activate the plugin. It will open up the image that you've selected inside the plugin. It will choose a section of the image that has no detail in it except for noise. So if you're shooting a night scene, it's nothing but it'll probably choose a section of the night sky because there's no detail in there. It's just a sample of what the representational noise is of that image. If it guesses wrong, you can tell it what to do manually. Then you click on another tab and we'll just simply say, please remove all the noise that you see in this image. And it does a really, really very good job. I was shooting pictures of my nieces and nephews at the family Christmas party without a flash with my Micro Four Thirds camera and got some really nice shots just illuminated just from a lamp in the living room. That was much better than anything I would have gotten with a flash. Sunday, I was in Boston's Public Garden taking pictures of monuments at like pitch dark at 1600 ISO, 3200 ISO, and was very, very pleased with the results I got. After the results that came out of the Nikon P7000 camera, which I'm finally getting around to writing a real review of, straight out of the camera, they were okay. You could definitely tell that it got beat up a lot from all that highest ISO noise, but Neat Image was able to cut that down to the extent where that really wouldn't be the first thing you notice. If you wanted to be critical about that image, you would definitely notice that, okay, well, clearly there was something going on where it suffered a little bit in the low light technology, but it did turn an okay image to actually a very, very solid, very, very good one. So the right answer is still going to be either bring a flash, or if you want to take a picture of the Thomas Ball Memorial Monument to George Washington at 8 p.m. in Boston Public Garden, the best way to do that is to still get a tripod, leave it at 200 ISO, and take a nice long exposure. But if you can't do that, you can take a handheld shot at 1/30th of a second at 1600 ISO, process it with Neat Image, and you will actually turn up with a very, very decent image. So I'm very, very pleased with how it's
I noticed that they have a home version and a pro version for $20 more. Is there a significant difference between the two? Do you recommend one or the other?
Yeah, and I wish it weren't this confusing. There are only 2 differences, and that's actually spelled out in that table. The home version only works on 8-bit images, so that means it'll work with any JPEG that you take. It will also work with any raw image, but it will down convert it to 8 bits before it starts working its magic on it. The other limitation is that you can't simply give it. If you shot a hockey game, it took like 200, 300 pictures. You can't simply drag all 300 pictures and say, please process all of these in sequence while I go out for pancakes, because there's a top limit of something like, is it 30 or 40?
It says 50.
Sorry, it's 50 images in one batch. The pro version has none of these limitations, and it costs $20 more. I don't know which one I would go for. I would probably, if I'm already in it for
spend the $20. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a demo mode that is not as ambitious as it could be. It will show the demo version of it. It's a plugin. It will show you the steps, and it will show you sort of the process, but it will only process one section of the image. Mm-hmm. Like it'll do a representational sample just to see what it can do. But there are going to be a lot of photographers out there who get stymied by shooting things like hockey, things like basketball, things that happen indoors with a lot of action, where you have no choice but to pump it to a highest ISO and keep it to a high shutter speed. And that's going to be a good answer to buying a $5,000 camera that does exceptionally awesomely, like a Canon 5 Mark II that does so well at high ISO. So it's a nice little tool to have in your toolbox.
I noticed they do video, and they also don't just do ISO noise. They also take care of JPEG artifacts. So it sounds like it would be probably useful. There is a video plugin as well. I have to. Have you tried that?
I'm trying to get a plugin.
It's interesting. I'll have to give that a shot. Interesting. Some good recommendations there, ladies and gentlemen. Andy Ihnatko is the man at Chicago Sun-Times, also the host of the Celestial Waste of Bandwidth.
I'm trying a more avuncular sign
I
off.
like that. Hi.
I'm throwing my good wishes for a great week at you.
And remember, kids, if you don't like the taste of the box, no, never mind.
Hang by your thumbs and write if you get word. I'm Andy.
Andy, it's great to have you. We'll look forward to. I'll imagine you in your boxer shorts sitting there watching us.
Also, I'm like that member of the presidential cabinet that has to stay. That member of Congress has to stay behind, because if any of you guys need to be bailed out, I'm there with the Western Union money.
Good. Keep the credit card handy. We may need it. Thank you, Andy Ihnatko. Thank you also, Alex Lindsay, who is heading for Vegas. When?
Tonight.
Wow.
I couldn't get a flight on Wednesday.
Oh, well, no, extra night's always good. A lot of people are going out tonight because the CEA preview is tonight. So that's why Eileen and Tom are going.
I'm not getting there until tonight. I mean, I get in at like 10 o'clock at night. Right.
So you got the worst of both worlds, basically.
Yes. But
you'll be in Vegas.
I'll be well rested tomorrow.
You will indeed. Yeah, that time zone shift can really kill you.
Yes, exactly.
We will see you there in Vegas. You'll be reporting for us and for Pixel Core, and we'll look for your homemade notes on bordersack.com.
It'll be fun.
I can't wait.
It'll be a fun experiment.
Yeah. Thank you all for joining us. As again, I mentioned, we will be covering CES. We start Wednesday evening, Tom Merritt and Becky Worley at the Digital Experience, and then from there it just gets crazier and crazier. We've got reporters all over the place. If you can't get to CES, this is the next best thing. We will bring you the sights, the sounds, even the smells of CES at live.twit.tv all through the rest of the week. And we'll be back, of course, next Tuesday. Tired but unbowed with MacBreak Weekly.
Yeah, we'll look a little beaten.
I can't promise we'll be unbowed, to be honest with you. We may be fully bowed.
You'll smell like stale cigarette smoke and 99-cent shrimp cocktail.
I'll come back with a big bag of swag. Like of things that I collected at CES.
Oh, that'd be fun. We
should both do that. You should do that too. You don't actually walk around.
I've tried to do this. Oh, I will be walking around this time. I've tried to do this before, and there isn't as much swag as it seems.
It's not swag. I'll bring back stuff.
It's like stuff. It's like stuff.
No, but I'll bring back real things.
Bring stuff back.
I'll bring back. I'll go hunting at CES, and I'll bring back some electronic deer.
Oh, great. Just don't slaughter it here on the set.
It was just a metaphor.
What kind of scat will you be looking for to trace the electronic gear?
I'll bring it back all in jerky.
Yeah, dehydrate it and bring it back for us. Soak it in teriyaki sauce.
It's good that way.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all for being here, and have a great week. We'll be back next time a little bit. Actually, you know what? If I do that, it gets rid of the bags under my eyes. Home facelifts next on Twit. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Now you get back to work. Break time's over.